Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, April 1st, 2021. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know I haven't been on YouTube and doing a lot of live streams as of lately, and I know a lot of you want to know what is going on with Dr. Albers, how her health is doing, how the chelation therapy is doing, and that's all related to the mercury poisoning. Well, let's just say this. I have a couple videos here that I wanted to share with all of you, and this is related to mercury poisoning. And this just happens to be a dentist, and she was very worried about her exposure to mercury, putting fillings in people's mouth and so on and so forth. And she actually went to a chelation therapy unit and doctor to have some tests run to see how many heavy metals were in her body, but mainly the mercury. Dr. Albers had many silver fillings in her mouth from many, many years ago. They were in the back, lower, and upper part of her jaw, in her teeth. And naturally, all of those fillings were done in South Africa. And if you don't know too much about the amalgam or the filling material that they use, 50% of it is made up of mercury. Now, when I was in college, I did work for a dental supply company doing sales, and I learned a lot about amalgam and so on and so forth in dentistry. And I did learn about this amalgam and the mercury content, and never thought too much about it till it kind of hits close to home. Well, Dr. Albers had these fillings in her mouth for a very long period of time. There is the possibility that as your teeth start to age, the fillings actually start to age, shrink. There's a very high possibility that mercury is seeping into your tissue and therefore into your bloodstream. So, before Dr. Albers came to the United States, she did have these fillings removed, and several of her teeth in the back of her mouth had to be removed, and she had some extensive dental work done, and all of that was done, way before she came to the United States. But the effects of mercury can kind of creep up on you. And over the course of time, since Dr. Albers has been here in the United States, the effects of this mercury poisoning have creeped up on her. And I know a lot of you have sent numerous emails, tons of emails, with all kinds of suggestions and things to take and all of these cures and things of that nature. But, folks, I'm going to be dead honest with you. It is not easy to remove heavy metals from your body, especially mercury. And mercury can have some very, very critical responses against your body, and that's what's happened. And I've gotten all kinds of really weird and queer emails from the troll population here on the boob tube, and requesting that Dr. Albers get on a video. We want to see her face. They've been making videos claiming that this is very drastic, but that I have killed Dr. Albers. I have buried her in a hole behind my shed. I have had her institutionalized. She's no longer with me. She went back to South Africa. And they've also gone as far as, on multiple occasions, calling my local police department to come here to do a welfare check on Dr. Albers. And that was done twice. And the third time, the local police department basically had enough of the nonsense, and they already had my telephone number, and they just called me. But they called me to make me aware of the harassment that was now being conducted against the police department. And I'm not sure if they put a stop to it, but I haven't had any visits from them in probably about 9 months. But, this chelation therapy is the only way to have your body get rid of these heavy metals. And, it's not covered by health insurance, and Dr. Albers does not have health insurance here in the United States yet. And it's very expensive, and it's not a one trip to the doctor scenario. It takes quite a long period of time, depending on the amount of heavy metal that you have in your body. Some of the effects are quite crippling, especially the fatigue factor. Before Dr. Albers started feeling the real hardcore effects of the poisoning, she was a workaholic, up early in the morning doing her research, and then, going into her office, sitting down at her computer, and, writing 2, 3, sometimes 4 reports a day, doing her videos and uploading those to her YouTube channel. And then as time went on throughout 2019 and throughout 2020, she started touching on some other things other than just, researching Planet X. And that's fine and dandy. That's her YouTube channel. When you have a YouTube channel, it's your channel. You put on what you want to. The videos that you make, they are your creations. If you don't agree with it, fine. If you don't want to watch it, it's just like your television. Turn the channel. But people on YouTube love to harass channel creators such as myself and Dr. Albers and millions of other YouTube creators. It's just part of the dynamo. But the expense of this chelation therapy is quite extensive. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Reason being, there are constant lab tests, as you will see. And I'm going to show you these 2 videos in their entirety. And this lady dentist, again, very concerned about her exposure to mercury as a dentist. And you'll be quite surprised. Even, protected with gloves and a mask and, a face shield, she was still exposed to many different types of heavy metals. Later on in the chelation therapy results video, you're going to see that she was exposed to other things, radiation. She is originally from Romania, grew up in Romania, but lives here in the United States, and she is now an American citizen and a practicing dentist. But through some exposure that she had over in Romania, she had some other heavy metals that were in her body, and the chelation therapy helped remove those metals. Now, once again, it's not a one-time visit. depending on the amount of toxins that you have in your body, it's multiple visits. And it takes several hours per visits. And then the lab tests. There's lab tests before, lab tests during, lab tests afterwards. So, the costs of all of this start to add up very, very quickly. On an average basis, you're looking at somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000. If you have higher levels of lead and mercury and other heavy metals in your body, the chelation therapy appointments, will become more persistent, and you'll have many of them. And again, they're not cheap. The lab testing is not cheap, and that's something that we've been battling with for almost a year now. And but anyways, on the brighter side of things, Dr. Albers still has some time to go before she even gets near a complete recovery. And then you have to judge the damage that was done. Heavy loads of mercury in your body can do a lot of damage, especially to your nervous system. As far as Dr. Albers wanting to appear on camera to satisfy these ridiculous queer troll babies, well, I've talked to her about it. It's something that she does not want to do. So I'm not going to force her to do that, to appear on camera just to satisfy other people. That's pretty weird. If somebody is sick and they're not looking their best, you can't force them to be on camera. So that's where we're at. Now, her health is getting much better. She's eating better. She's still on her straight hardcore vegan diet. And she's getting out. She's walking some every couple of days out there, doing her a little walk, about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. But the fatigue kicks in. She's been watching a lot of Netflix. She's found this thing called Netflix. And she was never much of a TV watcher before. But, when you're kind of just laying around, you don't have a lot of energy. She's gotten into, discovering a lot of different movies and TV programs and things of that nature. But little by little, she's making some progress. If any of you would like to help out and donate to her medical fund, there is a PayPal link in the description box under all of the Planet X News videos. And every little bit helps, folks. It has been a huge financial drain on both of us, physically, emotionally, and financially. And with all of the censorship on YouTube and social media, really hardly anybody gets to see our videos now or my videos now. It's just a sign of the times. We just went through this whole entire pandemic and the politics, and oh, Lord have mercy. When will it ever stop? I don't know. But I'm going to try my best to, be a little more vocal on YouTube. I've been kind of laying back in the wings here for quite some time because, YouTube likes to go on these rampages where they just delete people's channels and things of that nature and blah, blah, blah. So I've been trying to prevent that, but I've also been trying to show you what I've been finding. So my research has not stopped. It has not stopped. I just haven't been that vocal on the boob tube. And I think that's going to have to come to an end, because There's a lot going on with our world, the Earth. There's a lot going on out there in space. There's a lot going on with our sun. So I'm going to be detailing a lot of that at the end of this video. After we go over these chelation therapy videos, you're going to see two of my latest discoveries. And once again, as we've spoke about the coronal mass ejections time and time again, the coronal mass ejections, they're not ever going to stop because it's kind of a natural thing with the sun. But when the sun is in a solar minimum, and we are seeing these coronal mass ejections with such a high frequency during this period of this solar minimum, it kind of makes you wonder. During these coronal mass ejections is when we are able to make these captures with the extensive software that I'm able to use now. We are able to download the information from the SEEDS website during these coronal mass ejections on the coronagraphs. And it does take some time. Sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 hours to render these photographs. And the photographs are just undeniable. Undeniable. No, it's not Nibiru. No, it's not Nemesis. We've labeled it Planet X, I guess, over these many years. Fact of the matter is, the object is there. There are numerous objects, and they seem to be caught in a pretty steady orbit around our sun. And we'll get more into that as the days and the weeks go on here in 2021. But let's take a listen to the doctor, the dentist, and the chelation doctor. And it's 5 minutes, 41 seconds. It will give you guys more information on mercury poisoning, how it happens, how it can affect you, and what can be done about it. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
I'm Dr. Sand. I'm here with Dr. Sarah Whitney. So we're so happy to be here because we're looking into mercury detoxification. We all know mercury is a neurotoxin. So myself, I had 16 amalgam or mercury fillings. Amalgam fillings are the silver-looking things that maybe a dentist put into your tooth, and they're 50% mercury. And I'm here with Dr. Whitney at the Roxbury Institute to see what my mercury level is. So Dr. Whitney, just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I do all sorts of primary care medicine, but I've gotten more into environmental medicine since I've been in practice, and a lot of environmental medicine is mercury, heavy metals, and other chemicals that we find all over, our food, our air, our furniture, just everything.
That is so true, because we have, I think, over 70,000 man-made chemicals on Earth, which can potentially be hazardous to our health.
Yeah, they make people sick in all sorts of ways, from headaches to joint pain to stomach issues, anything. So.
And what about mercury? Me as a dentist, I'm exposed to a lot of mercury, and there's a safe way as biological dentists that we need to remove the mercury, because vapors can be more toxic for the human body, right?
Yeah, vapor is much more because it can go right into the brain versus if you swallow it, it's, your digestive system is kind of made to protect you from that.
Oh, good.
So it's harder to absorb from the digestive system. So when we're eating tuna and other big fish, which aren't good, but it's less probably than the vapor.
So what can mercury do to us?
More like what can't it do to us? So it's the number 2 most toxic thing on our planet. So having it in your body is not good. Mostly, like you said, it's a neurotoxin. So our nerves control everything in our body. So people can have symptoms kind of wherever they're genetically susceptible. Although the biggest thing I hear is brain fog. So when people start to feel like they're missing words, they can't come up with words fast enough, their memory is slipping, everyone likes to just chalk it up to age. But usually if you do some chelation, you clean out the metals, you'll see that stuff come back.
And is it easy to get it out of our system naturally? Maybe with some cilantro. I heard some people doing cilantro and things like that. Or no, is it like easier to do it through chelation?
IV chelation is the fastest and most effective way, but cilantro works, other heavy metal detoxers work, there's supplements that work, so it's a process. It doesn't all come out at once, but when people have a lot and they're sick or they're having debilitating symptoms, I recommend the IV because it's faster.
And you know what's interesting with some of my patients out there, they actually have symptoms like this and they don't even realize it can be related to their mercury fillings.
Yeah.
Because those are constantly releasing mercury and they're constantly intoxicating themselves.
Yeah.
In terms of mercury chelation, what is that process like, since I'm going to go through it today?
Well, first we start with the urine provocation. So this is the way that we're going to just see what maybe potentially is stored in your body. So we're going to give you an IV of 2 different chelators. One is DMPS and the other one is calcium EDTA. These are given by IV separately, back to back. And then we also, the most important thing we give is the glutathione. Glutathione, as you know, is an antioxidant. It's made in your liver, and it's used to make things more water soluble. So the chelators will bind the metals, kind of pull them out of your tissue back into the bloodstream, and then the glutathione helps it come out in the urine. Then we'll test your urine to see what metals are in there. So it'll look for arsenic, aluminum, lead, mercury, cadmium, a bunch of metals that are toxic. And what we see is what comes out. So we only know what you release. Okay. So we don't really get an idea how much is stored, but we can tell if you release a lot, there's probably a lot more. So there's no real good test to see what's stored in you, but we can kind of see what comes out, and that gives us a good idea if you need more, and it also helps us see if you respond well to the chelators.
Awesome. I think I'm ready to go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we have started our process of testing for mercury. So I just had
DMPS.
Okay.
And then this bag has calcium EDTA along with some B vitamins and vitamin C and magnesium.
Great. So I'm getting a lot of nutrition as well as detoxifying.
Yes.
And it's very easy process. I don't feel this at all. So.
Okay, folks, so this is how the process goes. It's these other chemicals are sent through an IV directly into your bloodstream. Takes a couple of hours, and then they send you home. And as you can see right here, they give you a pee bottle, and you're going to have to pee quite a bit and place it in test tubes. And then during your next appointment, take it back. And then everything is run through the lab, and they're able to measure all of the heavy metals that are in your body. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and stop this real quick here. There were some scary moments, back in January and February of this year already. Dr. Albers woke up one morning and had these huge splotchy blotches of what looked like a rash, and it was all over her body, from her legs to her torso, everywhere, arms, back. It was just everywhere. It went away after a couple of days. And then in February, another scary moment was when she woke up one morning and she had these absolutely horrible bruises that were all over her legs, all over her buttocks, all over her back, all over her front section, all over her arms, up around her shoulders. I mean, it looked like she fell off a mountain and rolled down the hill. It was very, very scary. They were very, very dark bruises that looked, like they were just really, really deep. And, bruising tends to lead to blood clots. So it was a very, very scary time. Over the course of a couple of days, all of that bruising faded away and disappeared. So she was kind of, out of the woods at that point. But I'm going to flip over to this next video, and this is Dr. Sandra's results after her first chelation therapy. So I'm going to go ahead and click over to here, and I'll let this video run, and you could check it out.
Hi everyone, we're back. I'm here with Dr. Sarah Whitney. So let's see my test results, because last week I had the chelation, and I wanted to see what my heavy metals were in my bloodstream, because as a dentist I work with a lot of mercury. We remove amalgam, which is basically those silver fillings that you have in your mouth. They're actually not silver, they're 50% mercury. So I also grew up in Romania, and God knows what else I picked up from there. So, Dr. Sarah, what does it look like?
Well, so the first test we do, we collect urine before we did the IV. So this is what we call the pre-provocation. So can I show everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so these are her results. Basically, what is in green is okay. So this is what you're just dumping on your own, so with no help.
Okay.
So we like to do this one mostly for comparison, and then also just to see if there's something that you're just really getting rid of a lot on your own.
Okay.
So lead seems to be right up there on the yellow line. So you're kind of naturally detoxing some lead, which is good. And other things are just kind of, baseline what we see.
Okay.
Then we collected your urine for 6 hours after, and you'll see there's a big difference, right? So
basically I took that stuff you put inside my IV.
You did the 2 IVs, DMPS and EDTA.
Okay. That's going to pull things away from my
tissue. Out of your tissues into
Okay.
your bloodstream. Then we gave the glutathione, which helps it become water soluble. Then you pee it out.
Okay.
We collect the urine, and then this is what was in the urine. So now we have lines, all the way to the red, and they use numbers too. So this is quite a bit of lead came out, 41.
Where does lead come from? I mean, where would I pick it up from?
Basically, it was rampant in the environment for a long time. So lead pipes, lead paint, leaded gasoline. So, and it also can come through generations.
Oh,
so you could have got it from your mom.
Oh.
And, at some point in your life along the way, you picked it up. So,
Okay.
you're getting rid of it on your own, but
Okay.
when we added the chelation in, you really got rid of it.
Okay.
So basically, we use this now to say you're a good candidate for chelation because you actually dumped it all. This is
Okay.
not what is in your body. This
Okay.
confuses a lot of people. So this is not a way to say you have this much lead or this much mercury. This is just
Okay.
what came out.
Got it. Okay.
So, but with numbers like this, usually we do 5 or 10 treatments and we retest again to see how much you continue to dump. A lot of times we'll see the numbers drop, after 5, 10 treatments, you'll start dumping less.
Okay.
Typically when we get close to the end, we see the aluminum will spike way up high.
Interesting.
So like on the second or third time we do this for some people, all of a sudden aluminum will be way high. And then people are like, why all of a sudden do I have aluminum? And it's like, that's usually means you're towards the end. The body has gotten rid of the lead, has gotten rid of the mercury. A lot of people will also dump lead first before mercury, but
Look at me.
so your mercury
Lead
could
mercury.
even get higher. We'll
Oh
see.
my
After a few
gosh,
treatments,
okay.
we'll recheck your urine again and see.
Okay.
Other things that are a little bit high, thorium. This is one of the ones that comes from the Fukushima, the radiation that's
I
floating
see.
across the Pacific, unfortunately.
Plus, I was during the Chernobyl explosion in Russia. I was in Romania, so I know I picked up all this radiation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of this we start to see kind of, will come out more. Is it cadmium you have a little bit high?
Okay.
That's people smoking and stuff if you've ever around that. Antimony's a little high. So yeah, these are the two that we're always most concerned about, lead and mercury.
Lead and mercury. Okay, so where do we go from here?
So now we can chelate.
Okay.
And we know that you're going to dump metals. So every
right.
time we do it, we don't have to check every time, but we'll check after a couple times and we'll just keep
Now, is
chelating.
Okay, folks. So as you could see in Dr. Sandra, the lady who is the dentist and who was worried about these heavy metals in her body because of her occupation, proved to be correct, and they also found some other things, the cadmium and also lead in her blood. So she's going to be continuing with these chelation therapy appointments to rid her body of these toxins, and the mercury and the lead are two of the main culprits. And you just never know nowadays, what is actually ailing you. And, Dr. Albers' fatigue progressed to the point where, she started sleeping longer and going to bed earlier, and, no exercise, and just kind of lethargic. And that's when, she told me about the possibility of this mercury poisoning, and informed me about the 8 fillings that had been removed from her mouth not too long before she came here to the United States. So it does affect your nervous system. It does affect your liver. It does affect your kidneys. It does affect your brain. A lot of these things, the damage can be stopped, and some of it can be reversed, but there are parts of it with extreme mercury poisoning, the damage cannot be reversed. So that's what we're fighting against. Whether or not Dr. Albers will ever return to YouTube, that's going to be her decision. I personally don't see that happening anytime soon. Her health is, my primary concern. But I will continue with my research and exposing the truth about what is out there, lurking and orbiting around our sun. So kick back and take a look at what I've captured right at the end of March. Pretty interesting. Also, once again, if any of you would like to help and make a contribution towards Dr. Albers' chelation therapy and medical fund, there is a PayPal link in the description box underneath the video. So folks, kick back and check out the results of what I've captured right at the end of March 2021.